everybody, my name is Elizabeth Oakes. I'm from Navan in County Meath and I'm going to tell you my story. So when I was very young, when I was 8 years old, I was always like an entrepreneur. When I was 8 years old, I found £20 in a bin and I went and bought 2 rabbits because I grew up on a farm and I kind of knew a little bit about the birds and the bees. 2 rabbits became 36 rabbits and I had 18 guinea pigs. And I had about 5 hamsters, and what I used to do is I used to sell them to all the pet shops. Because we had horses, I was able to give them the food that we had for the horses, so it didn't cost me anything. And with the profits from the business, what I did was I bought a huge big pen that I was able to pull around the field every day before school, that the animals would always have fresh grass. Move on a little while, and when I had my confirmation, for my confirmation, I received £250, it was at the time, from, I suppose, people who were coming to see me. And I remember that evening, there was a local man had a pony for sale, a little tiny pony, and we were always into the pony. So I went and I bought the pony for £250 and worked on it for the whole summer, and I sold it then. It actually went to a family over in Italy and I got £800 for the pony after the end of the summer. So that gave me the incentive to go again, I guess. And another neighbour had a pony called Snowball, and I went down and I gave £600 for Snowball. And again, I worked on her for, I suppose, 6 months or so, and a local family then bought her off me for £1,200. And the woman who bought her actually came in and had her eyebrows done the other day, and that was like, I'm 37 now, so I was only probably about, 12 or 13 at that stage. So, and she was a great pony. So that's how that all happened. But I always had that entrepreneurial skill in me. I think it's either in you or it's not. I could have done anything. Like when we were young as well, around Christmas time, I used to get my mum to put the trailer on the Jeep and we went over to the local graveyard, which is in Navan. It's a big, big graveyard. And I used to jump into the skip or the dump at the graveyard and get all, the oasis, like the round oasis. Now I was only, 8, 9, 10 at this stage. Mum used to sit in the Jeep and read the paper, and I'd be in dump getting all the oasis. I'd be going through them to see which was the best one, and I'd then get black plastic bags and I'd rewrap the oasis, and from the local holly trees and the lalanda hedge and the berry tree at home, I used to make these fabulous wreaths for doors, and also ones that would go onto the tables. And I used to stand outside Mass and sell them in the village, and also supply them to some shops locally. But I suppose it was just in me, and that was it, Then when I went to secondary school, I set up a little business. My little business was called Busy Lizzie. What I did was, and it was just like any child on here watching me, I'm telling you now, you don't have to have anything to make money, but you have to have a creative mind and I suppose a willingness to work and to work hard. So I went to Mercy Convent in Navan, and in our first year we were put out into prefabs because the building was been done up. And everyone hated going from the prefab into the bad weather, into the school to queue up to get their sweets. So I saw this great opportunity to create a tuck shop run. So as I say, the business name was Busy Lizzie. And what I did was, as soon as the bell would go, I would go around to all the classes in my year and I'd have a list and I'd write down, I'd say Kira and she wanted a can of Coke, potato, cheese and onion and a Galaxy. I kind of knew roughly the price of everything, but the deal was that I never gave change and you had to give me at least kind of 50 cents for going to the shop. So I would have about maybe 20 or 30 people on my list every day. And then I did a deal with the nun in the tuck shop, and what happened there was I didn't have to queue at all. I'd go in, I had a big huge bag, I'd fill the bag with all the sweets, and then I'd hand the nun the list. She'd tot up everything, I'd give her the money, and anything that was left over was mine. Now, when I say I used to make about €150 a week, every week, by just going to school, and the job literally took me 5 minutes. But I was so reliable, I never missed a day. And I suppose I was always afraid that someone, like if I missed a day, someone else could take my slot. So I had to be super efficient, never miss a day, and always be on time. So that's how that business went. And there's someone here looking in the window at me, the kids. So that's why, yeah, I went to school, never missed a day. Now, what would you say? I'm intelligent, but I'm dyslexic, and I just think about things differently. I'm not your average run-of-the-mill kind of put in a box. I'm more of an outside the box person. So when I was coming to Leaving Cert, I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I remember my career guidance teacher gave me this FOSS disc. And on the FOSS disc was all the jobs that were available. So I went through every job on it to see which was the shortest amount of time in education, but kind of where you got a really good salary after. And this one particular one popped up, and it says embalmer, 1 year apprenticeship. I don't know, was it 20, 30, 40, 50,000 per annum? So it said. And all it was an interview. You didn't even need your Leaving Cert. So I was like, that's right up my alley. And because I grew up on a farm, you know, I knew the death and dying, and I'd prepared and looked after like my grandaunts and everything like that. So I knew it wouldn't faze me. So we rang the guy called Dave McGowan in Ballinan, Mayo, and I went down there and had my interview. Now, I suppose I just knew I was able for it. I wanted to do it. He actually said no, he wouldn't take me on the course because he thought I'd no interest. But it wasn't that I had no interest. I was just had my mind made up, and I was like, yeah, I can do that. You know what I mean? So anyway, my mum had to pen a good letter to convince him to take me on the course. Now, at the time, I can't remember, but the course was very expensive. And like, we wouldn't have been rich. You know what I mean? So I knew that mum and dad paying over this money, like they were going to go without to make sure that I had a qualification. So I knew that once I went down there, I wasn't coming home. And Mammy even said it to me without any frills. She said, you're not coming out here until you get your qualification. So I said, fine. Went down to David McGowan. I actually finished the course in about 6 months, even though it was a year's course. I was just so into it, and I loved what I was doing, that it was very easy for me to absorb. And I'm a very practical person, because not everyone learns through books. As I said, I can't really read, I can't really write, but I don't mind saying about it, and it doesn't stop me in life. You know what I mean? I just say it to people. I can't read that, I can't write that, whatever. And people understand. So went there, and then David said to me, I stayed there for 2 years and did my apprenticeship. I was driving the hearse, I was digging graves, I was doing all the embalmings, do you know, all the funeral arrangements, everything, no bother to me. So then what happened was, I was still very young. I was only 18, and David said to me, look, you have a great flair for this, you're brilliant, you need to go to America and get a degree in mortuary science. America's the only place where you can get a degree. So I said, sure, why not? Like, I was footloose and fancy free, and off I went to America. Now, when I say in America, Mom and Dad were great. They paid for the education, but they said you have to fend for yourself after that. With my visa, it was only a student visa, so you weren't really allowed to work. So it was kind of a difficult situation, but look, I knew I'd be able to handle it. Oh my God. When I say there was a couple of amazing people I met along my journey. One woman is called Rachel Patstone. She was a Mexican woman and an absolute angel. She lived very close to the school, and I actually had to live in her camper van for I don't know how many months, and she helped me. She was after doing, how I met her was she did the mortuary science course, and she kind of came in to give a talk to the new students coming in, which was me, and I don't know, we just clicked. And she said, do you need that or whatever? And I said, yeah, somewhere to stay and somewhere to live. And she took me under her wing. But then not only that, I met Lucille. I remember I had like £200, I think, at the time. And I was after minding my own grandaunts and everything here in Ireland for years and years. And I used to put them on the commode every night. I used to, wash them. I used to get them ready for bed. I used to feed them, everything. So I always thought, if I could just mind an elderly person in their own home in lieu of rent, I'd be made up, because rent, like in Ireland, it's just such a huge expense, and it was an expense that I just didn't have. So lo and behold, Rachel had this free pass for fitness, 24-hour fitness, and she said, do you want to come? I said, yeah. Then I was there on the treadmill or something. This older man came up to me. His name was John Murphy, and of course he thought he was Irish. And he said, "Oh my God, do you need that and do you want anything?" I said, "Yeah, I need somewhere to live. I'm going to Cyprus College. This is what I came over to do, and I'm really stuck." And he said, "Leave it with me and I'll be back to you before the weekend." So he lived a couple of blocks from Cyprus College, and right across the road from him was this woman called Lucille. Now, Lucille was in her late 80s at the time. And when I met Lucille, we just clicked. It was like the grandmother. It was like the grandmother I never had. And she had this huge, big 4-bedroom house only a couple of blocks from college and was living all on her own. So that weekend, I moved in with Lucille, and I lived with Lucille for 3 years. I didn't have to pay a penny rent. But when I say Lucille and I were best friends, I'm actually getting emotional at this because look, the hair is standing up on me. But Lucille just meant the world to me. I can't even explain what that woman did for me, and I know I did for her too. Like, she used to come on dates with me. If I was going dating a fella, I'd leave him sitting in the kitchen with Lucille, and usually she'd run him, and then me and her go instead. I used to bring her, and we'd go driving around looking at all the Christmas lights, and she was just so proud of me and everything that I went over to do. Sorry, jeez, I didn't expect this. But I remember I used to collect her from her bus tours with her, the senior citizen tours, and like, she just had me on a pedestal, but I had her on a pedestal too. And yeah, just an amazing woman. And as I said in my stories earlier, it's just mad the way things happen. I had Roxanne on the 16th of July, and would you believe it, Lucille was buried on the 17th of July. So I actually called Roxanne. Her name is Roxanne Lucille. But anyway, there's that story for you. I'll let dry my eyes. But when I was in Mortuary Science College, I had a fantastic time. Lucille looked after me, I looked after her, and I made some fantastic friends there, and all the teachers were amazing. And what happened then was, because I wasn't really allowed to work or anything, I used to go with one of my teachers down to, it was like the city morgue in Los Angeles, where all the kind of homeless people, or they call them John Does and Jenny Mays, are, and they're the cadavers that we used to work on then in our embalming lab. But when I was down there, I was very lucky in that we got a tour of the UCLA Resumation Facility. I was the only one that got it, because I was the only one who wanted to go down to the mortuary, or not the mortuary, to the facility to collect the cadavers. And that's where I saw the resumator. But now this is back in 2004, so it's many years ago. That was that. It stuck in the back of my mind forever, because it was so green, so clean. I could see it all happening in front of my eyes, and I thought, oh my God, this needs to go to Ireland. But as I say, that was many years ago. Now, when I was younger, my sister shaved off my eyebrows, and they never just grew back 100% properly. So I used to swim every day before college, because it was California, and we had a swimming pool in college, and I used to swim before going to class, and I was always penciling on the eyebrows and putting on my eyeliner and everything. And one day, one of my teachers was very bad of her eyesight. It was our restorative art teacher, where we used to learn how to like totally reconstruct faces after traumatic events. And she had her eyebrows and her eyeliner perfect every day. And I said to her, "How are you doing that?" And she said, "Oh, Liz, that's permanent makeup." And I thought, well, I need to get myself some of that. So I went home and I started Googling permanent makeup. And would you believe, a facility like literally 20 minutes from where I lived was a school called the International Institute of Permanent Cosmetics. And the woman's name was Susan Church. So I went down there as a guinea pig for the students. I think it was like $50, but I was having it done even though I was broke. That's women for you. I went down and I had the treatment done. And all I can say is, because I was there on my own and I was wilder than wild, Susan and myself just clicked. And I had a Thursday, I think it was off from college, and I said I wanted to work there to gain the experience. I just remember the feeling that I got from having my eyebrows and my eyeliner done. I just felt made up. I felt great. It gave me confidence. And I thought, you know what? This is great. I didn't have the money to pay to do the course, so what I said was I'd work there instead and be her assistant every Thursday and every weekend. So she said fine, and as I say, I became part of the family down there. Then I worked really hard, and with that then I was able to gain the knowledge and the experience. I used to help out teaching all the courses, I used to do all the treatments, and I remember when I got my qualification and everything, it was crazy because I was saying it to Mam, and Mam believed in me. My mom was great. She always believes in me, you know what I mean? And I wouldn't be wasteful of money or time or anything, you know. I'm very good like that. And I said, Mam, I'm telling you, this is the future. And everyone else would say, all my friends and everyone would say, Liz, you're crazy. Like, what woman in Ireland is going to let you tattoo on her face? And I thought, well, I don't care, but they will when I get home and I show them what I can do. So anyway, I came home and I started to manage, it was a place in Dublin called McNeese's Funeral Goods. So I managed that place for a couple of months, and I used to do the eyebrows then every evening after work because I had a van and I was able to put my bed in the van and all my stuff. So I used to go around and then do all the eyebrows after work. But my big make or break time was I think it was 3,500, and there was a beauty show coming up, and I said, right, look, I didn't have the money. I think I had a boyfriend who gave it to me at the time. And I booked the stand. And I had this idea that I couldn't afford a facility of my own, and there was none of this going in Ireland. And I said, if I could go into the salons, give them a percentage, and I do the work, it'd be a win-win for everyone, because they had the clientele, I had the knowledge and experience, and we'd all benefit from it. Oh my God, from that beauty show way back when, I got 6 salons on my books. So that meant I was able to give up my job in McNeese's with the funeral goods stuff, because the industry just wasn't ready for me, or wasn't ready for my ideas. The funeral industry, I was a young woman, 21, only back from America with all these great ideas, and they were looking at me like, she's nuts. So anyway, I took to doing the eyebrows, and when I say the business grew unbelievably in a very, very short space of time. I was the only person in Ireland doing permanent makeup, doing microblading, and this is 20 years ago. It wasn't even heard of. I ended up that I had 180 salons nationwide that I held clinics in, like 180. Can you? And I was managing this all myself from my mobile phone in my little tiny 2-seater car. Oh my God, rattling around the country. I used to go for 1 month at a time, and I do like circuits of the country, come home for a week and then go again. And that's what I'm saying. I like, things don't happen by luck, they definitely happen by hard work, because I worked for 10 years solid. I worked 17 hours a day, 7 days a week. Now, I did have a good time. I was young, I had plenty of energy, more energy than I ever had when I think of it now. I used to be able to go to discos on my own, come back. I wasn't a big drinker, I just loved dancing and shifting and drifting. But anyway, I used to be able to go to the discos, dance all night, come back at 3 or 4 in the morning, and be up at 7 and gone to the next job. And I could even see 2 or 3 clinics in a day. So that's how the eyebrows then came about. Move on a couple of years, I then found my fabulous husband Connor on Plenty of Fish, and within 5 years or 6 years we've been married, built a home, and have 5 beautiful little babies. I have 3 boys and 2 girls, Harvey, Henry, Sienna, Roxanne and Mannix. So the funeral industry never left my mind, and I always help out in a local, well, it's not local, with David down in Mayo, where I did my initial training, and the resumation just stuck in my mind because of its green credentials, its sustainability. But back then it was before its time. So about 3 years ago, I started the process of bringing resumation to Ireland. Now, when I say this has taken its toll, it's the first of its type in Europe. So in September, we're hoping to open our first facility. It's the first facility in Europe. I've put in endless hours of work, and mental work for me is very, very difficult in compared to physical work. Give me physical work any day and I could do anything. Mental work is hard because I'm a bit dyslexic and all that stuff. But anyway, I've got there. We're very, very blessed because I've received a 200,000 grant from the local action group, which is Leader, through the Meath County Council. Now, when I say there was 6 months paperwork involved in that, there was 6 months paperwork involved in that. I was very lucky that I have the eyebrow business, so that's been able to pay for a lot of the stuff going forward for the water cremation. I have 5 little kids under 5. We have a farm here. It's only horses. It's a hobby farm. I buy and sell a couple of Connemara ponies. We buy them as foals, and we sell them then as 3-year-olds, and it's kind of like the honey pot because it just holds money together and it pays for a couple of holidays every year. So September is the opening date for our water cremation facility. What I believe is necessary is, I just think the funeral industry has changed, and Ireland as a whole has not progressed with the industry itself and the people that are now the end consumers. We're such a more educated population. There's no place for secrecy anymore. Transparency is key, and I suppose the green agenda is of utmost importance to everybody, because we all want to create a greener, more sustainable future for the generations we have coming behind. And I look at my kids and I just want a good world for them. So that's my story. If anyone has any questions, feel free to message me or comment or share my story, and hopefully you'll be able to follow the progress as we go forward. Thanks.